with me to the promised land. Beat your drum and join the band, and we'll chase away the clouds of the morning. We don't need any more than we are. We don't have to be afraid. There is a power in these legs and arms and the voices that we can raise, saying no, we won't go away. I have heard the crowds of the old and the young when the steel canyons echoed with the songs that were sung, and the streets were filled and the law was undone, and the fever of the people was breaking. We don't need any hand-me-downs. We're not looking for charity. We've been fooled, we've been jerked around, and there's only so much we can say. No, we won't go away. Oh, 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 the time it will come all over the earth. We will lay down our tools, their concessions we'll refuse when there's nothing left to lose. Throw our bodies on the gears and stop this infernal machine. There's another day just about to unfold, when another world will rise from the ashes of the old, and the meek will follow in the footsteps of the bold, when we realize what's ours for the taking. We don't need any weapons of war, not a drop of blood will fall away. They are many, but we are many more, and the sky will echo our refrain. No, we won't go away. Whoa, 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 the time it will come all over the earth. We will lay down our tools, their concessions we'll refuse when there's nothing left to lose. Throw our bodies on the gears and stop this infernal machine.
We have plowed and we have planted, we have gathered into bars, done the same work as the men, with babies in our arms. But you won't find our stories in most history books you read. We were there, we're still here, fighting for the things we need. We were there in the factories, we were there in the mills, we were there in the mines, and came home to fix the meals. We were there on the picket line, we raised our voices loud. It makes me proud just knowing we were there. From the textile mills in Lawrence to the sweatshops in New York, from the fields in California where our children had to work, we fought to make a living. Bread and roses was our cry. Though they jailed and beat our bodies, our spirit never died. We were there in the factory, we were there in the mills, were African and Jew, Italian and Latina, Chinese and Russian too. They tried to use our differences to split us all apart, but the pain we felt together touched the bottom of our heart. We were there in the factories, we were there in the mills, we were there in the mines and came home to fix the meals. We were there on the picket line, we raised our voices loud. It makes me proud just knowing we were there. We are teachers, we are doctors, we are cooks and engineers, letter carriers, truck drivers, conductors and cashiers. We operate machinery, we fly the airplanes, and we help to build our unions. We have struggled in our ways. We were there in the factories, we were there in the mills, we were there in the mines and came home to fix the meals. We were there on the picket line, we raised our voices loud. I'm so proud of just knowing we were there. We were there. We were there in the mines. Yes, came home to fix the meals. We were there on the picket line. We raised our voices loud. Proud, just knowing we were there. And our struggle keeps on growing. I'm so proud, just knowing we were there.
Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable.
Yes, we have to deny so many claims upon life to meet our shareholders' expectations.
In 2025, you're trying to stay alive. Convince myself it's even worth a try. I work my AI.
Let's talk about what happened.
Bills keep piling high. It's so under three just to live right. Whoa, tonight it blows. Bring it back, say it like the left hand, the moment's right. Whoa, tonight it blows. Sleeping wide open, we're the ones that make it better.
Millions of Americans, including children, have lost their health insurance.
What's so frustrating is that politicians have spent decades, saying they recognize the problem and they make promises to do something about it, and then almost nothing happens.
You know what they say to themselves in the dark. It's only a crime if you don't wear a tie. We keep them all busy paying their fines. Hear the epiphany, light up the spark. You know what they say to themselves in the dark. It's only a crime if you don't wear
Seniors
a tie.
are the fastest growing segment of the homeless population.
And this is a great thing because it inspires everybody, gets the motivation to look up to the 1% and say,
Now they're looking at your vote, they're looking at your anger, and they're moving to apprehend those who say something in anger.
Increasingly by choice or by accident, this is the role our nation has taken, the role of those who make peaceful revolution impossible, by refusing to give up the privileges and the pleasures that come from the immense profits of overseas investments.
There they were, screaming from the windows, trapped like a herd, nowhere to go. On the 8th and 9th floors, facing an inferno of heat and flames, a living horror show. Young immigrants just trying to earn a living, brutally exploited in a place so unforgiving. One door was locked, the other was blocked. The elevator crashed, the fire escape collapsed. Choking from the smoke, unable to breathe. The fire engines came, but the ladders didn't reach. They started jumping, you could hear the thuds. 62 pools of mangled limbs and blood, 129 women, 17 men. Never see their friends or their family again. When you don't have a union, you don't have a chance. Death and injury will come to dance. The owners, Blank and Harris, were arrested and tried. With money and slick lawyers, justice was denied. But when the dead were buried, 100,000 came. The New Deal was born, it was time for a change. The triangle shirtwaist fire was a call. Wake up a movement, they died for us all. For a safer workplace and escape from poverty. Decent living wage, a life with dignity. Fight for the living, mourn for the dead. It's time to do what Mother Jones said. It's either race to the bottom or take the struggle higher. Don't let the lesson be forgotten of the shirtwaist fire. Triangle shirtwaist fire. On the frontiers of the global wilderness, at the Hamim factory inside Bangladesh, a mirror image from a century before. A fire escape, locked and blocked doors, jumping from the windows of wage slavery down into the sidewalks of eternity. The causes unknown that can't be ignored. Another callous owner like all the ones before. 28 more who didn't have to die. On the altars of greed, it's just another sacrifice. Working for the Gap, Walmart and the rest. Places like Honduras, China, Bangladesh. 28 cents an hour, 7 days a week. A prison tower in a sweatshop factory. Behind the fancy clothes and toys they want to sell ya. Hundreds of fires they just don't tell ya. After decades of struggle, made things better than before. They shut them down and move their jobs offshore. Out of sight, out of mind. They hope we never stop them. Well, they wage their class war and take us to the bottom. The triangle shirtwaist fire was a call. Wake up a movement, they died for us all. For a safer workplace and escape from poverty. A decent living wage, a life with dignity. Fight for the living, mourn for the dead. It's time to do what Mother Jones said. See the race to the bottom or take this battle higher. Don't let the lesson be forgotten. Don't let the message be forgotten. Don't let the lesson be forgotten of the shirtwaist fire. Triangle shirtwaist fire. Triangle shirtwaist fire. Triangle shirtwaist.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118,
Twitching YouTubers where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, being and plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack, 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 Riverboat Jack. That's what I'm talking about. First time singing the songs for Riverboat Jack. Shout out. I don't know what I'm doing really, but I got passion. And that's what it's about. It's all about passion. Where she streams, all that content is bursting the seams. Politics, being and plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack, 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 Riverboat Jack.
Hello, everybody. How we doing? Probably pretty pissed off or sleepy. You know, one of the two. It is abnormally late for when I do this show. Both? That makes sense. Extremely angry and sleepy? Yeah. Fair. I'm gonna have rage dreams. Yeah, I had to take a nap today because I got so angry. Sometimes when I get so angry, I completely just shut down. Also, Patrick Lucas, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships right off the bat. I do appreciate it. I'm gonna be turning off alerts today, just letting you all know, like text to speech and such is gonna be turned off. I think you all understand why that is. And if you don't, you will in relatively short order. Go. Put on glasses. You know, I would put on my glasses. Oh, they're underneath my gloves. Silly me. Maybe put that in the stream title? No. How are you holding up? I'm incredibly pissed off, and I do apologize in advance if I snap at any of you. I am hanging on by a thread. I've been rage crying all day. And I am extraordinarily angry. So, folks, what is up? Before we start, can I recommend chat to do breathing exercises? You know, it's a great idea. We can all do it together. All right. You find yourselves feeling I learned this in therapy recently. Pay attention to how your body's feeling as we talk today. And this is just good advice for any time. Try and connect with how does your chest feel? Does it feel tight? Try to connect to how does your heart feel? Is it beating too fast? How does, your muscles feel? Like how physically do you feel? And then take time to stretch, take time to breathe. And unironically, breathing, holding it in for about 4 seconds and then breathing out in a steady fashion. Breathe it all out. Hold for a second and then breathe in through your nose and then hold and repeat that process. That slows down the stressed parts of your brain and it activates kind of your higher thinking abilities. So if you are finding yourselves feeling like hunted animals or like you are if you honestly my go-to visual to explain how I'm feeling is when I have a lot of stress and anxiety, I feel like a hunted animal, which makes sense because it's your stress, your anxiety is your fight or flight reflexes, and taking a moment to breathe genuinely helps a lot. Shoot, I may have gotten a false hit by a mod. Nope. You have not gotten a false hit by a mod. The default for YouTube chat, for whatever reason, is top chat, as opposed to live chat. Live chat shows you all of the messages. Top chat, for whatever reason, curates it. It feels like too much. It is too much. Like you are not crazy for feeling like this is overwhelming. You are not crazy for that. And breathing helps a lot. Is the breathing related to being in a non-flight/fight? Yes. It activates what I think is called, if I'm remembering correctly, the parasympathetic nervous system. Basically, it reignites the parts of your brain that can control and calm down the other parts of your body. The breathing helps kind of your body know that you are safe. And so, it's a really useful thing to do when you are feeling completely and utterly overwhelmed as well. And yes, hydration, really important. Stretching, really important. You move your body a little bit. Yeah, fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Yes. They want you scared and they want you stupid. Don't give them what they want. All right. Make sure we are good to go. By sending out a push notification. Okay. Yeah, remember to take your meds, all that good stuff. I'll read off any donation messages at the end of stream tonight. And we'll jump into it, okay? Where do I even start? I think, you know, I have a rough outline of how we're going to try and tackle this subject today. But it's gonna be a tough one. And I'm gonna remind you all, I understand. Believe me, I fucking understand how angry everyone is today. So I'm going to reiterate, do not Fed post and put yourself or this community at risk. Do not do that. Do not act like someone who is trying to get others to incriminate themselves. The people in this community deserve better, and so do you. And I understand it is an intensely felt desire to say these things. Don't do it. And keep yourselves safe. And when I say that, I mean physically safe, but also see to your needs. Drink some water, breathe, move your body a little bit if you gotta. And if you cannot handle the news tonight, it is okay to log off. It is okay to log off and to tackle all of this tomorrow. After you've had a good night of sleep, after there's been some time to process, etc. Okay. Well, let's get into it. So, folks, we have to talk about something that happened here in my community. It is January 7th, and I guess I'll just get right to it. ICE has pretty unambiguously murdered a woman who was, by all metrics, following the law, presenting no threat to officers. She was blocking the road, and they ordered her to move her car. And as she began doing so, an officer opened fire at almost point blank range, shooting her multiple times in the head and killing her in front of her wife. There was a doctor on the scene, and they refused to let that doctor try and save her life. They kept him away from the scene for 20 minutes. And yeah, she's no longer with us. She and her wife had just finished dropping off their kid at school. And there are many videos of it. We are going to watch 2 later in this segment. It is incredibly disturbing. I will give you guys a warning before we watch those videos. But we're going to talk about a lot of different aspects of this because it hits close to home for me. I live around that area of Minneapolis. I am familiar with that street. Um, I I know that place, you know, and it is just awful. And what is happening to this country is just awful. For the crime of videotaping masked thugs who are threatening to abduct children and parents from schools and daycares, disappearing them into our system, she was killed. She was killed. Like I have watched the videos a number of times. It is unambiguous to me. It is just straight up murder. And we're going to be getting to a lot of different aspects of this, but I wanted to open up kind of this this part of stream to just talk about the overarching situation. Obviously, this is incredibly infuriating to the people who live here in Minneapolis and Minnesota. And I wanted to look at kind of how we got here and the rhetoric that has been ramping up to justify what happened here today. And we'll go from there. This segment, I do apologize, it might be a little bit messy today. And I have to be honest with you, the level of rage that I'm experiencing right now is difficult to put into words or to quantify. And I hope you all understand now that when I say things like ICE must be completely destroyed and it must, like, the ideological ground from which it sprung must be salted so that nothing like it can ever exist in this country again. I do mean it. And when I say that we need to build up power in this country to utterly crush our ideological opponents, I mean it. I mean we need to absolutely and completely make it unacceptable to support anything like this in this country. Oh, if she had just stayed home, she would have still been alive. Well, some people have courage. I know that this is a thing that is alien to many conservatives. I know that this is a thing that is utterly foreign to them. The idea that people would have moral fiber to stand up for what is right in the face of armed, masked thugs. But I believe in the fundamental goodness of Americans, and I believe in the fundamental goodness of working class people, and I believe in all of us. And to anyone who says, oh, she should have just followed orders, she did. Oh, she should have just stayed home. Just because you're a coward doesn't mean other people should be. And there are a lot of problems here, and we're going to break them down. But suffice it to say, when masked agents of the American government are wandering around our cities and our towns and abducting people, vanishing them into unaccountable Byzantine bureaucracies, never to be seen from again, some of them, they have now escalated to straight up murdering law-abiding citizens. And they aren't going to stop there. They aren't going to stop there. So again, when I say that we need to hold every single person to account, from Donald Trump to Kristi Noem to every single bureaucrat that runs these evil organizations that have visited this hatred and violence at our doorstep, I do mean it. This is not some idle call. I mean, this should be the call. There needs to be this cannot be like what happened after January 6th, where people were just, oh no, it's fine. A lackadaisical, careless attempt to hold people to account that never fully was allowed to proceed. We must thoroughly and utterly dedicate ourselves to the cause of making sure the MAGA movement is ground into dust. And that any kind of centrist Democrats who want to prop up ICE as a necessary institution are likewise ground into dust. You know, we have a saying about the dustbin of history. Well, it's time for us to start filling it up. There's a lot of things in our country fueled by hatred and bigotry that never should have been allowed to propagate. And let's just take a little bit of a look at how we got here. So, one thing I want to talk about a little bit is a guy named Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley, and I just did a massive breakdown of his fraud investigation, that he came to Minneapolis to try and allege that Somali immigrants and refugees who run daycares here are committing mass fraud. And in the process, his source, his insider on all of this fraud happening, was a guy named Dave, a lobbyist who works for the Minnesota GOP. And this hit piece had Nick Shirley and Dave going around to a bunch of different Somali-owned and run daycares around Minneapolis and St. Paul, and demanding to see children in the daycares. They had an entourage of about 8 people, some of whom were masked. And to their credit, almost none of these daycares allowed Nick Shirley or his crew to come into the daycare because it's actually illegal for them to do that. Who would ever want to leave their children at a daycare where strangers can just come in off the street and leer at children? It is disgusting. And yet, this flimsy excuse for investigative journalism from Nick Shirley fueled a nationwide witch hunt for fraud against the Somali community here in Minnesota. Donald Trump cut off funds for childcare to 5 different states, including Minnesota. And not only that, as a result of this fraud scandal, Tim Walz dropped out of the governor's race. And now, well, and then just the other day, Kristi Noem announced that there would be the largest ICE operation in U.S. history targeting Minnesota. The largest ever. Minneapolis right now is swarming with ICE agents. And, well, here's what Nick Shirley has to say about that on a recent podcast appearance.
They came after me. They came after my family. They doxed my entire family.
How did they come after you? Be specific.
Well, they tried to come after me. They tried to debunk all my whole entire story.
Oh man, you really were persecuted. Your entire oh man, you put out a bunch of bullshit and people debunked it, and that oh man, what a personal attack. This massive piece of shit is partially responsible for the murder that happened today. His lies fueled the reason for the ICE agents being here.
They then
Who's they?
all the news.
Would you just get more
CNN.
specific? CNN. Who within CNN?
CBS.
Who's the reporter?
I don't even know her name because she's irrelevant. Nobody knows who she is. They came after me. They came
after me by showing that my story was full of horse shit. Well, I'm just a precious little birthday boy. And this has gone all the way up to the President of the United States and, his cronies. Here's J.D. Vance appearing on Fox News just earlier today.
The Democrats have a little bit of a Somali problem. They've let it
America
go.
has a bit of a Somali problem.
Especially the Democrats in Minnesota. Why'd they just let it happen right under their nose?
Well, a couple of things, Jesse. First of all, if you look at the amount of fraud in the welfare system, according to the statistics I've seen, 85% of Somalians who are in the United States, legal and illegal, are collecting some form of welfare benefits. So that's not to disparage the other 15%.
I'm just gonna keep letting it play. I just want you guys to imagine, like, they're talking about a specific ethnic group of people. Like, this would be like saying, oh, America has an Irish problem. America has an Italian problem. America has a Jewish problem. This type of vilification, this type of KKK bullshit should never be allowed in the White House. This type of rank, rampant racism is disgusting. Any person who believes in goodness, who believes in freedom, who believes in liberty, should be up in arms about this, because this is absolutely beyond the pale. This has always been America. We shouldn't be surprised. You shouldn't be surprised, but maybe, I'm just throwing this out there. We should be demanding better. Maybe our complicity and complacency with this type of white supremacy that allowed it to get into the White House in the first place is something that we need to change yesterday. And I'm so sick of people being like, well, America's always been bad. Yeah, it has been. But you know what? We need to demand better. We need to demand better. And I gotta be honest, it doesn't help to be like, oh yeah, other bad things have happened. So, whatever. It's just another bad thing that happened. I'm so fucking angry. And that anger has been growing day by day, hour by hour, with every passing moment that this MAGA administration continues to be in power.
But when you have 85% of a population that is collecting welfare, that suggests that we have really done something wrong with regards to vetting. And that's the fundamental issue. Even if there's no fraud, 85% collecting welfare is way too many damn people collecting welfare, getting rich off the American taxpayer while a lot of Americans struggle. That's unacceptable.
Now, I just want to say another thing here. Part of the reason a lot of Somali immigrants are on welfare is because they came here as war refugees. with next to nothing. And so they are reliant on our welfare systems in order to get back up on their feet. And you know what? They do that. The idea that, oh, they're all just defrauding the system. No, they're not. But you know what? There are lots of groups in this country on welfare. Is everyone who is on welfare programs, is everyone just a leech on the system? Now, I know that JD Vance would be saying yes, of course. But like he talks about it in this as if it is like some kind of moral failing that you need welfare. Part of the reason we have welfare is so that our elderly don't die in the streets, which used to happen. There used to be a phrase, too old to work, too young to die. And that was part of the rallying cry to get Social Security in this country. And I have to be honest here, guys. I don't think the elderly are a drain on our society. I don't think people who have worked their entire lives in this country are leeches. But a lot of the elderly get that welfare check. They get that Social Security check. But JD Vance here is using this argument to try and say Somali refugees are leeches who are draining the taxpayer dollars. And I just want to point out, I think that is horseshit. Somali immigrants and refugees, they work here. They pay taxes. They contribute to their communities. As do the disabled. As do the elderly. As do many different groups in this country. And I do not think they deserve less rights. I do not think they deserve dehumanization. I do not think they deserve to die. But this administration seems to think that they do deserve to die, that they are leeches, and that they are worthless. And I think that is just evil. It is evil to believe these things. It is evil to characterize entire groups of people like this. And we also hear, just to look back a couple days previously, we've been seeing the escalation from the Department of Homeland Security's, propaganda arms on Twitter. And I just want to reiterate here, Twitter is now being used to generate with Grok and XAI, possibly the largest amount of child sex abuse material that has ever existed. And we talked about that. I just put up the video on YouTube earlier today. We'll probably be talking about it a lot more because a lot of lawmakers seem to be doing nothing about it. But over on their propaganda arm on Twitter, this is what DHS has been posting. The peace of a nation no longer besieged by the third world. America after 100 million deportations. And I want to point out something, folks. 100 million is approximately the number of non-white people in the United States. It is not the approximate number of immigrants or refugees or undocumented immigrants. It is every person of color. Stuff like this is a formal, declaration, or rather an informal declaration of war against non-white citizens and non-citizens alike. And not only that, but one of the things that you should know about that image is that it is from a Japanese artist named Hiroshi Nagai, who is famous for essentially popularizing the vaporwave aesthetic. Specifically in response to excess, in response to everything that Republicans seem to hold dear, the rampant consumerism and excess of capital. And folks, another piece of this puzzle is that DHS and ICE have had a goal of deporting around 3,000, or rather detaining around 3,000 people per day in this country. So far, despite their efforts to ramp it up, they have only been able to detain around 1,000 people per day, which is still quite a bit. But it is a frustrating fact that for them that they have not been able to attain this goal of 3,000 per day. And part of the reason they have not been able to hit that number is because good-hearted people of conscience and moral fiber have been standing up across this country to fight back, to resist, to make it difficult for them to do their jobs, because their jobs are to black bag people minding their own business. Here is, I want to play for you guys a video from December 30th, which is at a local library here in Minnesota, where ICE agents raided the library in order to detain undocumented immigrants, or alleged undocumented immigrants. Let's just take a quick look here. Now, as you can see, lot of guys here. Oh, there's one person detained. They had to send all of these people to detain one guy. I know where that is. What the fuck? I know where that is too. I've been there. I've been to the DMV that's in that building. This is insane. All that for one person? Yes. All that for one person. This is where all of that money is going. All of your taxpayer dollars that they're saying, oh, the undocumented immigrants are wasting your taxpayer dollars. Do you think sending 50 agents to arrest one guy in a library is a good use of your taxpayer dollars? It's like a Benny Hill sketch. Why are they so armed? Because it's all a LARP. All of these masked thugs, they act like they're going into Fallujah. And I want to play another video for you guys here real quick. Just to give you an idea of the kinds of guys that ICE is actively recruiting. Okay? The kinds of guys who ICE is actively recruiting and putting on the streets here in Minneapolis. Now, this is footage recorded off of Lyndale Avenue, which, for those of you who don't know, is maybe, a handful of blocks away from where the shooting took place today. And this is allegedly an off-duty ICE agent who was spotted walking down Lyndale Avenue. And you guys will never guess.
See this fucking shit.
Dude.
Where's that fucking tattoo? Let me see this
It's old
fucking
now.
shit. Yeah, get the fuck in your truck and get the fuck out of this city, dog.
Dude.
I mean it, bro. Don't make me fucking get on the phone and start calling people, because I'll have half this fucking city come down here and take you the fuck
Well,
apart.
dude, I'm not even from nowhere around. We just come
Fuck
through.
off, Nazi. Get in your truck and leave. Your whole fucking crew Nazis?
No, man, we're not even from here.
Where the rest of them at?
Texas.
Yeah?
No, they're not.
Go back to fucking Texas.
Dude, I had this done years ago.
I know, and it's still on your fucking face,
Because
bro.
I ain't had no
I
time
seen
to
that
change
before. I seen your fucking eyes, dog. Get the fuck out of my city, or I will fucking end you. Look at this fucking Nazi piece of fucking shit walking down fucking Lindale, bro. Yeah, get the fuck on. I see you, doggy. You're not gonna fucking last long in this fucking city, cunt boy.
Yeah, that is by the French Meadow Bakery, which I'm familiar with. You know, all of this is around where I live. But these are the kinds of people that ICE is recruiting. Not just like, maybe they're Nazis. No, like just outright Nazis. Dude has an SS tattoo on his neck for people to look at. That isn't an oopsie daisy. That isn't just no one brought it up. Oh yeah, no, dude, you put it like right here, man. You put it right there, and they still let you join ICE. Because again, ICE doesn't care. This is the kind of guy that ICE wants. They want people from out of town, out of state, coming into your neighborhoods with SS fucking tattoos on them in order to round up non-white people in your community. Because this is, and I think it's pretty fair to say, the comparison between ICE and the Gestapo. But you know what else? I think there's a fair comparison here to be made between ICE and the goddamn KKK. These people view it as an extension of their good old boys club back down in the South, that where they can go into these, Democrat cities and round up non-white people that they hate so much, and they get paid for it. Yeah, it's the wet dream of every member of the KKK to, like, reenact being a slave catcher. That's exactly what they're trying to do here. That tat ain't that old? Yeah. I've seen old tattoos. They fade. Not only that, folks, but, people in Minnesota do not like ICE. We do not appreciate them here. Here is a recent story. Hilton says it is removing a Minnesota hotel from its system amid ICE controversy and calls for a boycott. So, what exactly happened here? Well, a Minnesota hotel, a Hampton Inn, refused to rent out rooms to ICE agents. And in response, Hilton said, no, if you refuse to rent out rooms to ICE agents, you're not going to be associated. You cannot be associated with Hilton. So, I don't know. Look, it's not going to be much, but, if you are interested in letting Hilton know exactly how you, feel about that, here is a handy article on how to complain to Hilton with official phone numbers and such. So I'm going to post that link in all the chats, and you do with it what you will. Lakeville here, that hotel is like 5 minutes away from me. Very tired of being on the news all the time. These agents need to fuck off and go home. Yeah. Folks, put some online pressure onto Hilton, okay? Because this shit is ridiculous. Part of the reason, by the way, that hotels in the area are not a fan of renting out to ICE is because guess what? People in Minnesota show up and they protest outside of those hotels. They show up in protest. There were protests out in Edina, where a hotel was allegedly allowing ICE agents to shack up. People do not like it when they find out ICE agents from out of state are coming in and like disappearing their neighbors. It's shocking, I know. You know, and it's difficult for the conservative brain to wrap itself around the idea that the people who are being disappeared are loved and appreciated by their neighbors. And in Minnesota, anyone in the snow is your neighbor. All right? These people from out of town, they don't get it. They don't get it, and they don't belong here. They, like, if they came here to be, like, kind, to treat one another with respect, to, you know, treat people as neighbors, they would be welcome here. But you know what? That's not what they're doing. They're here to harass people. They're here to make people afraid. They're here to persecute people based on the color of their skin. And that ain't gonna fly. It is infuriating to see them thronging around different areas of the Twin Cities area. And that brings us to the events of tonight. I'm going to open this with Chris Hayes' opening monologue from tonight. I think at least some people in the news space are doing a decent job talking about this, and then we'll go a little more in depth.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Tonight, thousands of people have gathered in the streets of Minneapolis and other places around the country in protest. A 37-year-old American citizen, the mother of a young child, is dead tonight. She was shot in the face by an agent of the federal government, and that government has spent the day telling despicable lies about her. The highest officials in the land slandering the victim as a domestic terrorist, running cover for their agent's actions before the earliest details were even available. Her name, identified by the Star Tribune, is Renee Nicole Good. She was the driver of a vehicle in an area where ICE was conducting operations as part of a surge of enforcement ordered by Donald Trump. The government wants you to believe this 37-year-old mother of a young child conducted a ramming attack against the agents, but by now you have probably seen the extremely disturbing video that shows what really happened.
Folks, they might show it here. So just be warned, you might see it.
No! No! Oh my God! What the What the You just what the did you do?
Good evening from New York.
It's just murder. It's just murder.